Hi, I'm comedian Lunga Chuka, the Energizer Funny, streaming live with my special guest on the Price of Fame podcast. We feature entertainment professionals on the show and find out what sacrifices were made to reach their level of success. Look forward to learning about how our guests have overcome mental health challenges, achieved success breakthroughs, what you need to know about the industry, and how you know when you actually have a talent that needs to be shared with the world. Take these episodes as your personal mentorship guidance on how to be a successful entertainer. We chat to those who have made it in South Africa and abroad. Let's make the SA entertainment industry the most supported by locals, because local talent is liquor talent. Subscribe now to keep up to date. You can also find us on all social platforms.
Got you. Got you.
How does it feel? Feel? How does it feel? Feel? How does it feel? Feel? How does it feel?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Price of Fame. My name is Lunga Chuka, and I'll be your host. This is episode 21, season. Tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a multi-talented, well-respected performing and recording artist, singer-songwriter, guitarist, MC, and mentor. Hailing all the way from Belhar, but his music is internationally known. Some of you guys might recognize him from season 3 of The Voice South Africa, or you might know him for his album that he released last year, which is titled I Believe in Me. Or you might also know him from his hit single that he released right recently, which is titled No More. Ladies and gents, without further ado, please welcome to the screen the very talented, he goes by the name of Keanu Harker.
Pew, 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 pew.
What? Yo. What's up, man? What's up? What's up?
I'm sorry, man. How are you doing, brother? It's been a minute.
I'm good. Thanks. I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Awesome. I am very well, thank you very much. And thank you for allowing us to have you as a guest as on the Price of Fame. Truly honored. I met you a couple of years back at Raw, that platform, which was the open mic
Yeah.
platform. And I mean, I must say, you've been like, you were amazing the first time I saw you, and you've been consistent all the time, bro. Consistent. I've never seen a down moment. I've never seen you ever be like give off. Sometimes you come on with a band and sometimes you come on alone and you still
Yeah.
maintain that same energy and you're so captivating. So I'm super excited to get to know the true version of who you are. I
Thank
know
you.
the star, and that's amazing. A lot of us know the star version. So yeah, tonight let's dig into the real man. How you doing, brother? I did ask that already. I'm not going to repeat myself.
But I'm good,
Okay.
thanks. I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you for that intro. It was a very nice one. It was a good one. Yeah, it's been a few years since we met each other, and it's been great. I'm always honored, and I think I don't take it lightly that people can actually see from where I
Yeah,
started to where I am. So I think
yeah.
you definitely you've been there since I kind of got into it. So thank you, man. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, man. So, okay. Looks like we have a voice now. Before we get into the questions, so with season two, we did something a little different. We've added, so it just used to be like for YouTube and Facebook, where we could stream the show. So now with season two, there's a lot of people that was asking for the audio version of the Price of Fame. So that's why we've now started to put our the Price of Fame on different platforms like
Okay.
Anchor FM, Apple, and as well as Spotify.
Spotify.
So with Anchor FM, there's a special feature where the guests could actually send us a voice note, the ones who are tuning in, so they can send a voice note and actually ask you a question. Because they also want to be part of the fun. So we have a voice note
Okay.
that has just come in. I'm going to cue that voice note before we go into my questions. But I just want to let you know, we do listen to the voice notes, just to make sure there's nothing weird or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But anyways, let's go. Go ahead, Plummy, cue the voice note.
Hi Lunga, Keanu, and the viewers. My name is Lebu from Soweto. Thank you for an amazing show. I love the price of fame. I have a few questions for Kiana. I would like to know how many guitars you have and do you name them? And how do you keep your inner child alive? Thank you.
Shoo. All right. So from the get go. So do I answer the
Yeah.
questions like there, or do we like get into it later?
No, well, right there. She's watching right
Okay.
now, so she's excited
I
to shoot
thank you
with
so
you.
much for the question. So I've got I think I have 7 guitars at the
Yeah.
moment. And I don't name them actually. I named the very first one. The very first one I got was a chord guitar, and probably a cliche name, but I named my guitar Courtney. Yeah. Um, and then I think the inner child in me, I think I just surround myself, with people that keep me at that level, and also just I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to do this all along, and now that I'm doing it, I don't want to forget what it felt like to be able to do what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I keep myself. I keep the childlike Keanu going. And if you watch any of my shows, you'll notice that what you see is what you get. Sometimes I speak wrong, I laugh at myself, and those kind of also keep me, just childlike.
Yeah. That's so amazing that you actually say that, because I was thinking about, and I'm like, I'm looking at the position that I am today, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking about the younger version of me, and would he be proud of, where I've come, because I think if I were to see the younger version of me, you'll go, oh my word, yeah, he's so amazing, So like
actually.
something along those lines. But for you, Keanu, like when did it all start for you? Who were you before the music? Take us back to the very young Keanu.
Usually when people ask me this question, I'm like, you know what? Before, like, I think music has always been there. It's always been a case of, I grew up in a very musical family. My
Yeah.
dad, amazing singer. He was part of a gospel group as well back in the day. And my uncles, my aunties, they were all part of groups, part of bands. both sides of the family, there's always music at a function. So I think growing up, literally, I was like grown into music,
Yeah.
which made it easy for me to latch on eventually. But I think it was, well, definitely being in the musical family added to that, but also just like the church influence and starting to play in church. Um, that's where it started for me. And
Mm.
at every function, Keanu's gonna sing a song for us, or Keanu, bring your guitar, or at school it was Boichi with the guitar, or Boichi that sings. So people kind of like, in a way, labeled me as, okay, he's definitely the singer or the musician of the group. And I kind of just ran with it. I was always interested in it. But I think just getting everybody to be like, you go, you go, you go, I was like, okay, cool, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do this. So yeah, I don't think there was a that I can remember. I don't think there was a point where I was like, I think I'm gonna do music. I just, ever since I can remember, I've always been singing. Like, I've always been banging on pots and things. So music has literally always been there for me, and I just kind of ran with that.
Yeah. And because like you're saying that music, you kind of always been in music, right? So at
Yeah.
what point did you actually when did it become a passion, and you told yourself, okay, this is what I am and I'm gonna make a living of this? Because obviously the first few years was probably you just doing your thing because you
Yeah.
can do it. You're like, oh, it's a thing, it's a hobby right now. But at some
Mm.
point, you took it, you're like, no, this is gonna be my career. I need to change the way I think, I need to change the way I put myself out. At what point was that for you?
To be honest, that was in, I think it was grade 6, maybe grade 6 or grade 7, and that's like
Okay.
very early. But I think from that age, I was like, I see a lot of people doing this, and obviously, I remember clearly it was one day we had career day at school, and go dressed as what you want to be one day or who you want to be like. And I went to school as usher. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna be usher when I grow up. I'm gonna be on stage. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna dance. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be that guy. And I think what really even what pushed it even more was the fact that my parents could see from a very young age. They could see, okay, this boy is not gonna be one. He's not gonna be one to sit in the office one day, or nothing wrong with that. To those who are sitting in offices and doing all the admin work. But I think I was always the performer at every function, and my parents, they, instead of them being like, yeah, but maybe like be a doctor or something, they were like, if this is what you see yourself doing, then we're gonna support you in that. And that really gave me like so much confidence to know that my parents really support me in this. So I think it was in primary school where I was like, I want to be on stage, and I want to do this one day when I grow up. And then I joined the primary school orchestra, and I could feel, okay, this feels right, being on stage and being in a group and being in a band. And from there, literally, it just went. It went, and I ran with it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a lot of support, and even if you weren't looking for support, music was always around you in the house,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
your father, with your parents having that influence and all of that. But
yes.
personally, do you feel that you had any challenges as a young kid?
I mean, I'm sure everybody has the challenges that they face with. I think mine was more just a case of wanting to fit in. I guess I was always like the awkward kid. But again, music came to the rescue. So like, if I felt like I was not being included or something, or I felt left out, I would just be like, can we talk for a minute? And people were like, yeah, you cool, you can join us. And I was like, yeah, that's my superpower. And I kind of use that. Or when I started
Yeah.
playing guitar, I started playing I think I was 9 years old when my dad sat me down and we were like, what, let's learn some chords. And so basically I was literally in grade 5 or 6 and I started playing. And again, whenever I felt I was being excluded in a way or I didn't fit in, I would kind of just throw that in there. Um, just like personally for me, everybody has their obviously challenges, but I think it might be small, but I think I always had an issue with my skin, I think. So I felt like I don't wanna like go there. And I had this gap tooth, until about
Yeah.
like three years ago I fixed it. But I think that was one of those things where people were like, they would mock me at times like Bugs Bunny, or there was always something. And
Yeah.
so I think those small challenges would not seem big to anybody else, but to me it was like, yo, I don't feel like, you know, I can fit here, or I don't feel like I'm part of that gang, or I don't, you know. But to be honest, I think my upbringing was very blessed to be able to grow up with both my parents in a very loving home. My family, you know, they big on family time. So in that sense, I didn't have that many challenges in the sense of, you know, family dynamic or all of those things. So I think personally for me, I was blessed to be able to have a very easy upbringing when it comes to, you know, challenges, really, because I have supportive parents, and so it was kind of smooth for me, I guess.
Look, like you're saying, when you were just describing like your whole superpower of having be able to sing and all of that, but you just actually, I don't know, you just put a comedic whole picture in my head here, because you said that, you know, like wanted to fit in and people were standing in the corner, and the song you sing is "Can We Talk?" because talking to you, because no one's talking to you like, "Can we talk?"
I literally did that on purpose. I felt like it was you can't just sing any song, you know, you must make it part of what you want to bring across, you know. So I was very strategic with that, you know. But thanks for noticing that. Other people just thought I'm singing a song, but you actually picked that up.
Yeah. That was comedic, honestly. But I relate with you so much, because for me it was acting a fool. I knew at a very young age that I could make people laugh. I knew that people, when I do certain things, you know, the crazy things that I imagine in my mind, you know, if I say that or make the sound or I do impersonations, I found that people really enjoyed that. So I used to get bullied a lot, because I was a black kid who came to a multiracial school, but not so much bullied from the colored kids, bullied from the other black kids, because I grew up in Mitchell's Plain, so I had colored friends all my life. So they naturally, I gravitated to the colored people and the colored
Definitely.
first, and mostly only, you know. So other black kids thought that I'm trying to be better, you know, that I can speak better or whatever. So they never really liked all of that. Exactly. Yeah, and sometimes I was also seen as like the underdog, you know, among some of the colored guys. So I would like be funny, and then like, they like me because I'm funny. And there was this one bully actually that we all knew, and everyone tried to stay out of his way, but he liked me because I made him laugh. And I was like,
yeah, superpower. You literally had the superpower. You could change the whole dynamic.
It's hilarious. He actually told me, I like you. I'll leave you alone because I like you. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I was like, okay, I must just keep making that guy laugh, because he was the type of guy that he's one of those kids that came to school kind of late. So like everyone else is 9 years old, and then he's maybe 14 years old, you know, in the class. So it was a situation like that. So nobody could stand up to him, you know. So we we're all just like, okay, you know. So I was
That is so funny. No, it's relatable as well.
But listen, in your career, has there been ever a breaking point where you kind of, you know, how people always say just before you hit success, you know, it gets the toughest. Have you ever had a moment like that where you were like, you know what, I don't know where this is going, you know, I could literally give up tomorrow, and then something happens, you know, and it's like a complete turning point. And can you describe that experience, you know, and why should up and coming artists, when they reach that point, why should they never give up?
Yo, that's a good one, actually. To be honest, there's you kind of should have that feeling to an extent, you know, before any project that you're busy with, or any show that you're busy planning. But I think I kind of had those a few times when I would maybe prepare for the show, or I would do something that I really want to do, and things are just not happening, and I'm like, people not buying my tickets, people's not streaming my music. I don't think they like what I'm doing. Like, there's always these thoughts, and sometimes it starts off as thoughts, but then you, as like, well, I'll say me, I start acting on what I think people might be thinking, you know. And then I kind of put myself in the zone where I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me, you know, maybe I should try something else. But then for the sake of it, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And at that time, when you get onto stage, you do it, and you see people coming in, and people are singing along, and they're clapping, and they're vibing, and it's like, yo, this is actually, you know, you guys had me worried there for a minute. But I, again, for me personally, I don't think I've had that moment where I didn't think it was for me. There's always challenges, and there's always like difficulty, and there's always like hurdles that you eventually gonna have to cross. But I don't think there was a point for me where it was a case of I don't think this is for me, which kind of tags onto what you said in the the last part of your question, where what it means to believe in yourself, because there's going to be times where you don't want to do it, but just knowing what it is that you're working towards, that is enough reason for me to keep pushing. I've got a cup here. If you can read what it says.
I believe in me. Yes.
And I kind of I literally have these things. People think it's like you just want to keep your souvenirs and your things open, but to me it's like when I see it, it's a reminder. I believe in me, so constantly reminding myself about that gives me enough reason to keep pushing.
That is so awesome. That's really awesome, man. And I fully respect and also stand behind that message. And to up and
Yeah.
coming artists, remember your why, because things
Your
can get
why.
tough. You might not see the next step. You might not
Yeah.
know where the next move is coming. You might not know when the next gig is coming. But if you remember your why, you will get up. You will show up. You'll get up. You'll show up. And when you arrive, you'll give your best. And you won't be like,
Yeah.
it's this kind of gig or whatever. So that's really awesome. Earlier on, you kind of mentioned that your parents are like very much into the church. So I'm sure you have a huge influence of the church. Are you one of those artists that basically started singing or started playing instruments through the church, or did that happen way before? Like, how did the church kind of like inspire your music journey?
No, I definitely started. I started in the church. That was where it kind of all started for me. And those of you who are watching and you also started in church, or you are going to church and you're playing in church, you'll know that there's no script. Like there's no rehearsal really for what's gonna happen. And I always say this. I say this to a lot of my students as well, that playing in church for me helped me so much, because you have to think on your feet, you need to use your ears, you need to look around, you need to like feel what's happening, which is a very big aspect or factor for a musician and a singer. So I started in church, and a lot of people think it was just because my parents were pastors or my grandparents are pastors, and I grew up in the church, that I had to go. But obviously for me, I also had a personal encounter and experience as to why I go to church, which made me even realize, like I realized more that what I have, I spent a lot of time and I spent a lot of effort into not mastering, but like learning the craft and working on my craft. But I also realized that it's a God-given gift that I have, so I need to use it as much as I can and where I can use it. So I think it was playing. I started playing guitar, and then the singing just kind of came afterwards. But the church has definitely been and is still one of my biggest foundations to what I'm doing. So very big influence.
Yeah. You just mentioned now that you have students, and you kind of like tutor them or mentor them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you actually, did you have any mentors in your career, that kind of stepped into your life at a certain point, that kind of guided you, anyone who served as a mentor in your life? Do you currently have one, or did you have one? And tell us a little bit about your mentorship that you're doing.
Yeah. So I have a lot of mentors. And again, seasons, some come for the season and then they do what they need to do and then they move on. And
Yeah.
I don't take those moments lightly. I do understand that there's always going to be a different season in my life and I need different mentors. So not every mentor is going to be able to focus on each aspect of what I'm dealing with. But definitely my dad, because of it all started with him, he's definitely been since then mentoring me and up until this day. Um, Mentoring me in what I'm doing. And I think studying music at college, my teachers there as well, all of them separately, but also individually having mentorship in my life. Still to this day, I have the privilege to be able to like go on WhatsApp or Facebook and message them and ask like, hey, I'm dealing with something. Can what do you think about this? And then one of the craziest mentors that I have, I think, is one of my biggest inspirations as well, which is Jonathan Butler. I remember I was like just when I started, because I'm playing guitar and I'm listening to, you know, guitarists and singers, and his album was like on repeat. Fast forward 2021, I get to meet him, and you know, I get to perform on stage with him, and my mind is blown. And like a few weeks later, he sends me a message. Like I didn't message, like he just went
Yeah.
onto Instagram and he sent me a DM and was like, "Hey, I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing." And I'm like, whoa, 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 this is, you know. And I think now I'm at a point where I, like, he made it known that if you need anything, let me know. Like I can assist. If you have any questions, I can help you with that. And you know,
Wow.
those things really, like, it pushes me and helps me to then be an inspiration and motivate my students as well. So I'm also part of a youth program called Inspired Stages,
Okay.
which is basically teaching life skills and etiquette through performing arts. You know, so there's singing and then there's dancing and then there's the musicianship, and so all of that. And then that is run by Kat and Bert, and Gavin is out in Dubai right now, and they are my mentors in that program, and I'm a mentor in that. So I've got students along with a range of mentors. So we kind of feed off energies,
Yeah.
and I think one of the biggest things is when these students and those, not even those who are my students, but just people like who follow me and message me, it's not about what I do. I mean, it's not about what I say. Sorry, it's not about how I say things, but they actually watch what I'm doing and how I'm doing things. So I kind of always keep in the back of my mind, you know, I don't always have to say it, because sometimes they listen to what I'm saying, but more
Yes.
importantly, they, you know, watch what I'm doing and they're like, cool, we actually see, you know, that you're applying all of these things in your career, in your workspace, in your family time, in your marriage, all of those things. So mentorship isn't just being a mentor, but it's also being teachable to be like under a mentor and then taking that and applying it as well. So I'm very big on that. And even in my music, you know, like the message behind that, I always try and inspire and motivate, because I know there's people watching and listening.
That is so true. I mean, I'm someone who learns by like stealing with the eye, you know, and because
Yeah.
I feel like artists can when once you're in something like as a comedian, because I'm in comedy, I look at the material a lot different when the people are performing. I'm like, okay, he's pacing, oh, he's using his body more. Where people are just receiving the full joke, you know, and I can literally break it down and see the blueprint. So I get it when you say that your students, they basically see the blueprint in you and don't only just take what you say, but they see what you're applying as well, you know. And you might miss some things to say, but you will show in your performance, and that's why, you know, it's important for them to get both, you know,
Yeah.
get the practice and like get the full action of it. Um, this might be a one for a deep question, you know, for the waters.
Oh no. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm only saying this because I remember one time on stage, I asked you this question and it was actually awkward. I was joking, but it was awkward. But let's try not make it awkward. What are you praying?
Take two. Take two. I'm just praying. I was just like, yo, 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 yo,
Okay,
yo.
so okay. I'm just gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. Help me understand. If I should put it that way, help me understand, right? So with a lot of musicians and a lot of singers, they always start with a group, and at some point they always go solo. Justin Timberlake did it. Beyonce did it with their movements, right? I first saw you solo, but you were just doing a solo performance. You actually belonged to a group at the time. I don't want to mention any names because I don't know how this works. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. It's already awkward. And then you had a
Can
really
mention
good
it.
job with this group, right? For quite some time. And then I remember there was a time when you headlined at Raw, and I was like, your group is here, but now you're performing with a completely different group. And I joke with him, and I'm like, yo, what's up with him? You know, he's a sellout, you know, he's my leave the guys. And they're like, nah, I don't know, ask him. And when I asked you, you couldn't answer. So I think I made it awkward that night. So I just want to apologize because I've never left my heart. I just want to apologize for making things awkward at times. But I'm gonna give you a chance to please tell me, like, what were you thinking? What did it mean for you to to step away and to focus on your own path? Are you a solo artist right now, or do you have a new band with you? What was
I
your
am
mindset to do that?
I am pushing my solo career now. I
Okay.
think literally at the time that you asked that, how long ago was that? Just so, by the way, I'm just trying to backtrack. This was like
Bro, I don't
three,
know. It could be maybe 5. Look, this COVID took 2 years, and we sometimes we forget to count it.
two.
So
So
it could
that
be 5 or
cancelled. We
7.
cancelled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, it was still like very like where are we? Are we here? Are we not there? So you're like your timing was perfect to make it a. But it's fine. Fine. It's fine. We didn't brief you on it, so it's cool.
Yeah,
But I think when I joined the band, I was kind of doing solo act, with my guitar, and I knew like joining that band. Eventually, it's
yeah,
gonna get to a point where I'm also going to want to push that. But being part of the unit, it really kind of helped me and it pushed me with stage presence and being able to relate and working with the band and working with a unit. But yeah, I'm pushing my solo brand career right now, because from the beginning that was kind of what I had in mind, what I wanted to do. But
absolutely.
just to like, I don't want to like elaborate too much because I know you asked like a few like questions to that, because I want to like answer that specific ones that you asked. So can you just repeat that quickly?
Oh no, I was just asking because I said I noticed that you went from a band and then you went solo and then sometimes you do feature bands. So I want to know like what was your mindset? Was it kind of like you felt like the need to, but you did kind of answer it by saying that you always used to do solo performances. So that was always your idea in the back of your mind to I
Yeah,
thought that the band and at some point you were just like, nah, we're not on the same page anymore. I have to move on. So I just wanted to
yeah,
know what was your reasoning, what were you thinking when you moved from the band, and where you are now.
yeah. Got you. So yeah, like I mentioned, the idea was always to kind of push the Keanu Harker brand,
Yes.
and being part of that unit kind of just like really helped me and assisted me with that. But I also think like the style of music from me as Keanu and then from the band is a bit different. So depending on what the client wants, you
Yeah.
get like this whole party vibe that we've got going, and
Okay.
then I'll bring like a more chilled acoustic vibe
Okay.
to that. And if they want a band, I can get a band, but because it's brands, I'm just kind of put it one side. So I'm glad and I'm happy that, because we're all in one very big industry, it wasn't a case of like, you wants to be this way and we're not there,
Yes.
we still do a lot of stuff. We actually had a gig last week.
Awesome. Okay. No, that's awesome. No, I had to ask because I know sometimes, and this happens with dance crews too. We'll start off as a dance crew, and in the beginning, it's amazing. Everyone is motivated, and then along the line, you'll find out there's maybe two people pushing the weight, pulling the weight, and some people aren't, or like your ideas are not on the same path anymore. It's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just to say that maybe your time together is over, and it's time to
Yeah.
branch out. So I was thinking maybe that was what happened to you. But like you said, from the get-go, you've always had the dream of pushing Keanu Harker, and
Yeah.
joining a band, also a space for you maybe to just learn and expand. And that's exactly what you did. You learned a lot of things. You knew how to work with a band. So now whenever you need to be booked and need to have a band, it's like second nature for you to just call up someone, call up a couple of guys and whatever. And you don't have to like okay, who are we? You know how to handle
Yeah.
yourself in the band and make one sound and form. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
Um, with so with especially with new up and coming artists stepping into the industry, there's a lot of mistakes that they usually make. And this is a story that I hear all the time, and I've even seen movies based on this. So you get this young musician, right? Very talented, signed to a record label, not knowing anything about the business side of the music industry. Somewhere down the line, they go their separate ways. The record label goes that way, the artist goes that way. And then the artist realize that, oh, snap, my music is still owned by these people. And sometimes even the stage name is still owned by these people. Yet the relationship is over. They're not investing anymore. But whatever you produce, they're always going to get a cut. Have you ever like experienced any kind of heavy mistake like that in your career? And do you know of like any better tips, that people could do, especially for up and coming artists, just to be wise? How should they actually approach this industry?
You are spot on, sir. I definitely have. I definitely have, and I think it's one of the saddest things that there's people that know what's happening, but yet they
Yeah.
still go with that. And I want to be like an ambassador, for up and coming artists, or even artists that have been doing it for some time, to not just have the mindset of I'm good at singing, I'm good at playing, that's gonna get me to where I want to be, um, kind of learn the music business around it, learn about the texts and bookings and the emails and tech riders and all of those things, so that you have an idea of what's going on, because the music business is such a big part to the music industry that not a lot of artists kind of take upon themselves. We have this idea that I've got a management company and I've got an agent doing that, so you do that, I'll focus
Yeah.
on I'll focus on me. Well, actually, they busy doing some crazy things right there, and it helps at least to know. You don't have to always be involved in what's happening, but it helps to have an understanding around the music business and what's happening. Because, like you're saying, the challenge and the mistakes that a lot of artists make is they kind of just like leave it to agents and management and all of those people to do things, where I was watching a documentary or like a podcast of Steve Harvey, and he was speaking about like the lady that was doing his tax and things, and he was like, cool, you do that and I'll do my thing. And like after a few years, I think it was like 22 million or something that just went because of you do that and I'll focus on me. So I think for any artist, singer, musician, any creative, actually, kind of learn the business around what you're doing as well, so that when it does come to a point where there needs to be some sort of um, agreement to disagree or whatever it might be, that you don't just stand there and be like, I don't know. At least you want to know what happens and what doesn't happen, say what not to say. So the biggest challenge is definitely just the business sense to it, that I have made quite a few times, and I, I mean, I'm sad that it happened, but at the same time, I'm happy because that kind of I made more effort to be able to know, okay, next time if it does happen, I'll have an idea
Mhm.
of what's going on.
I mean, sorry, it's really sad, like you're saying, because these are the type of mistakes that can actually ruin the artist in the long run. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
especially when they want to, especially when they feel like they've grown enough and they want to start creating their own things and probably go a different direction than the people that's representing you. And then that's when you realize, oh my word, I'm screwed. And these people were lying to me this whole time. They kept me believing that everything is okay until, this is almost like they're safe, like, in case he leaves us, we will secure him in the bag some kind of way. And it's so sad because like I've watched Elvis now recently, and I mean that's kind of like his story as well as New Edition. That was kind of like their story as well, and it's so sad because these people are so talented. We love their music, we're still playing their music, but a lot of them are not getting compensated, or like they were broke way before their music became old or outplayed, and that is so sad because out of anyone in that business, like I'm talking about the manager, the booker, all of that stuff, the musician should be benefiting the most than anyone. You know what I'm saying? Why do they eat the last? you know so that is quite it's quite, and the whole tax thing, like you said, with Steve Harvey, I think that happened to Wesley Snipes, and he went to jail. They told him it's either you pay this much money, because these people lied to him. His people told him that they're sorting everything out, and then tax only comes like when you have like a huge amount. They don't come when you owe 1,000. They come when you owe 1 million. So they're like, hey man, you haven't been paying for so many years, this is what you owe. It's either you're gonna pay us back or you're gonna do this jail time. He took the time. Same with Laura Neal. Same thing with her. They came to her again and, hey, Laura Neal, you owe us this much money. It's either you do the time or you pay us back. And at that point, she realized she don't even have the money to pay them back. So she did a whole lot of free concerts just to make up for that money. And I feel like that kind of ruined her career, like how present she was back in the day. So that's what I'm saying is not fair, and it kind of like ruins people. But
Definitely.
speaking about all of these things and how it can actually ruin your path, I want to ask you, how do you stay grounded and focus on your goals? Like, do you do yoga every Saturday? Do you light incense every now and then?
No.
What that helps you stay focused and stay grounded, and always stay on the path? Besides, like what you said earlier on, remembering your why.
Mm. My wife.
Yes.
I've got a good support system and a support structure that they've been supporting me since I started, but at the same time been keeping me grounded. Like in the sense of you've got this, you're amazing at what you do, you've put in the effort, but also again, it comes back to like remember why you're doing it. And there's always something that could happen that could unfortunately make you, just fall back a bit. And then, because your mindset wasn't right and you wouldn't sit in what you're doing, that could also mess you up. So I'm a I pray a lot, again, I'm a firm believer, that prayer changes things as well, but it also keeps me calm and just being able to understand that I need to balance out what I'm doing. Because like when you started the whole intro, it was, a lot of people see Keanu Harker, the artist, and it's tough out there. For me, again, I don't think I'm at the level where I'm in demand and I'm all over and I'm always in the newspaper and the media. But it gets to a point where, like, you also need to balance out. I'm Keanu Harker, the artist, but at the same time, I'm also Keanu Harker, my parents' son, or I'm Keanu, the husband, or I'm a friend, So kind of having different people, and it's important to have, um, different people in your life for different seasons of your life. If that makes sense. So you need people that, you need friends that for the fact, if I'm with these people, I'm gonna laugh, and you need that. But that doesn't mean that those are the same people that's going to be able to like share emotion with you and going to be able to give you that space to cry. So you need like people for that as well. Then you need different people that's actually going to push you creatively. So you kind of need to find a balance between like who you have and who pushes you, and those people are going to keep you grounded in those specific areas of your life. So for me to stay grounded, I make sure that my circle is it's small. To be honest, it's very, very small. Again, because of being hurt in different areas and people saying things. So kind of getting to a point where, like, season, that's over. So I'm kind of just going to step back a bit. But keeping your circle small and making sure that those people really feed that area of your life. So that's personally for me, that's how I stay grounded. And then coming home to just leave everything else, all the rehearsals, all the stress, all the whatever, and just being in my space. That is a very important part, I think, as any creative.
Yeah. I like what you said about the whole friendship, certain friends for certain things. And you only learn that through like making mistakes. Sometimes the friends that you laugh with is not the people that you can share your goals and dreams with. That people might think on a certain level and be like, nah, why you want to do that, with your life? And then you find that maybe you shared with a colleague, and where you're at, and then you're like, oh my word, and then they give you even more ideas, and you just feel like, oh my word, like a breath of fresh air, but your colleague is so boring, you can't laugh with him, so you wouldn't hang out with him on the weekend. It's only good for at work that lunchtime breaks because they will talk about different things with a different environment. And so,
Exactly.
and this is also something that I speak about and I always share with when we're doing support groups is that it's like I like to draw yourself in the middle, right? And then you have the circle around you, which is your intimate circle, and then your other circle which is your social circle, and then your environment. Your intimate, you'd find obviously your wife, your partner, your best friend, things that you, and the thing is we exchange energy with times, things, and places. So in that circle might be your yoga on Saturdays or your partner, that kind of thing, your parents, your intimate circle. And then outside is maybe your best friend or your colleague or your cousin, the people that you make time for. That's not necessarily in your life always, but it's people that are important to you, but you make time for. And then the
Yeah.
outer circle environment would obviously be all the places where you find yourself, where you're traveling, the mall, shopping, that kind of things, you know. And all of these places and people affect you in a certain way, and we bounce off energy. So it's like you said, and the point that I make is that you need to discern what to
Yeah.
share and where you actually speak and what you know, and that's how you protect your energy. Because if you might share it with the wrong person and they like give you a different perspective, you might feel
Mm,
like, you know, you might take on their perspective as your own and then end up doubting yourself, you know, if you're not
definitely.
aware of how you're sharing and how you like using your energy. So I like that you touched on that point. What are some of the sacrifices that you had to like endure, you know, because of your career, you know? And a lot with artists, sometimes we have to sacrifice birthdays, we have to sacrifice a lot of things, you know, because it's an important gig or whatever the case may be. But for you, in your experience, can you name some of your sacrifices that you had to like lay down in order to stay focused?
Definitely like family time, you know. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm big on family time, and my family's big on family time. So there was quite a few moments where and events that I couldn't be at that I really wanted to be at because of work, and I think being on The Voice as well. I because at the time while that was being recorded, I kind of had to leave my work here, and I think somebody actually reminded me a few months ago. They said, you have like at least maybe 40 gigs that I had confirmed, that I had to say I can't do these gigs anymore. I have something that I need to do. And I think the challenging part to that was because obviously like when you're recording, you can't tell people what's happening because they only need to see when it airs. And
Yes.
the case of I can't tell you why, but I can't do it. It's a move I need to make for my career. Uh, and I need and they were like, bro, like you just gonna and I was like, guys, trust me, this like I need to do this. So like obviously sacrificing a lot of work. The biggest
Yeah.
sacrifice recently in the last few months was, so obviously with COVID, I was blessed to be able to work throughout that, because as an artist, you like you get paid per gig basically, right? So my income was based on how much work I get, and I had a job because you can't rely on gigs anymore. You need to do that, and I had to make a call. Am I going to go full time? Am I going to push this? Am I going to live by I believe in me? You know, and just whatever comes, have the faith and know that it's gonna happen. And I made that call. So I resigned from work, because I was like, I am going to do this. I'm gonna push my original music. I'm gonna create content. I'm going to believe in myself, and that belief obviously comes from people believing in me. And so I'm not only doing it for myself, but I'm doing it for everybody that's believing in me. So I think the biggest sacrifice recently was being able to say, I do need the job, but at the same time, I also believe that I'm going to make it. So that was
Yeah.
a very daunting move, but I think it was, well, nothing. I know it was the right move.
I mean, it just brings us back to what we were speaking about early on. You know, when I asked you, what do you do to not give up? You know, you were saying that we were saying that sometimes you can't see the next step.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't know where it is, you know, and you were in that position and you had to make a choice to be like, you know what, do I play it safe
yeah,
or do I stick to my why? You know, do I stick to my why and believe in me and follow through, you know,
yeah,
and it helped you. And
yeah,
like you're saying, you brought it up a few times now. I believe in me. It's the name of your album that you debuted last year. Powerful words. Powerful words. You've given it a lot of meaning tonight as well, and why, you know, understand that. But is there another reason that you didn't cover yet why you decided that specific title to be like, yo, this is gonna be my debut album when people buy it, and the beginning of people's journey with me is going to start with I believe in me, you know? So can you make us understand why you chose those powerful words, and why do you think more artists should also implement that mindset of I Believe in Me and believing in themselves?
Definitely, the first song on the album is "I Believe in Me." So when you start the album, that's the mood for the album. I actually wrote the song while I was at The Voice, and like I mentioned earlier, it came from a point where there was this idea that I had where maybe like I don't think I'm like good enough for it. Like I can play guitar, I can sing, I can like entertain, but it was always cover music. I was always doing Bruno Mars or James Ingram, as a lot of people would request me to do now and
Yeah.
then. Because I knew that's a safe space, because when I sing that, people's gonna sing along and they're gonna like what I do because I'm singing what they know. But
Yes.
then it got to a point where like, but I'm making other people rich, man. This is not a vibe. So I wrote my own music, and there was so much belief from that point on. The Voice people were voting and they were sending me messages, and I didn't have a choice because they believed in me so much. I had no choice but to believe in myself, and that kind of just motivated me to write that. And because it's my first album, that's kind of like my entrance, I think, my foot into the industry. So when people like see my album or see my music, they're like, cool, this dude came, and whether we buy it or not, he's gonna believe that he's gonna make it one day. And
Yeah.
again, I have the mugs, and I made some t-shirts, and there's a few of these like souvenirs around the house. So again, if I see it, yep, I believe in it. And it's a very cliche line, but this is something that I do believe. Like, being me, I'm the only person that can be me. There's nobody else that can do me. They can sing, they can play, but there's nobody like me. And that's kind of the superpower. So whether it works, whether it doesn't work, just having the faith that I am confident in who I am, is should be enough for you to believe in what you do. So for those artists or anybody watching or listening, whatever it is that you want to do it, because there is nobody like you that can do that. And that's my motivation. So it's more than just a feel good song. Again, it's literally a reminder and an anthem to me that there's gonna be people that's gonna like wish you fall, or they're gonna pray down on you, but your belief in yourself, and again your circles that also have that belief in you, it's just like, you know what, I'm not doing this for myself only, I'm doing for those people that also believe in me and have been pushing me to do it. So I believe in me and you believe in you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's such a powerful phrase, and it reminds me of DJ Khaled because I've been watching him a lot on social media, and he's been saying this phrase, this catchphrase all the time. They ain't believe in us. God did. So this believing thing. And what I love about what he's doing and what you're also doing with I Believe in Me is that yes, it's a message that you take for yourself, but it's like a message that anyone can make it their own because it says
Yeah,
I believe in me. The minute I see it, it says I believe. I'm reading I believe in me. I'm not reading I believe in Kiana. So whoever sees it, and that it's not just a message for you, and it's not just your message that you brought. You put it in a way that it's a message for all of us. We can all personalize it. Once we are with it, and especially if we hear the song when we resonate, we can personalize it too. So I love the love that you made it as I believe in me. And it's so awesome,
yeah,
and
man.
it's empowering. It's like a self mantra that you can even say to yourself. So
Yeah,
that's amazing. I like that. We're coming to the end of our interview, but I want to ask you before I ask you my final question. What, tell me, what are some of the most or what are some of the most amazing iconic artists that you still want to share the stage with? Who is some of the artists that used to be like, oh, I really want to share the stage with this person or just have a conversation with this person? Are there some artists that you're still looking forward to like working with?
definitely. There's so many. There's so many. There's a few international artists that I would really love to just meet, like George Benson, for example. Just like sit. I don't even want to play with you because then I'm gonna feel like, yeah, am I gonna play with this guy? You mad, George Benson? But then
Yeah,
again, I believe in me. You know what? I'm gonna do this. So he's
yeah,
definitely one. Brian McKnight, I think would be amazing. But I think even like right now, locally, I've been following Dre something as well. You know, I met him once, but I think just being able to like share, you know, that stage would be really, really amazing. Um, Leader is definitely another one. Again, we spent some time together on The Voice, but just being able to collaborate and share some more of those. There's quite a
Yeah.
few. I This is one of those questions where like there might be people that's watching and they're like, he's gonna say my name, he's gonna say my name, and then I don't say the name. Like,
And then it does.
and then, you know, so to be safe, there's a lot. I'm not gonna mention because then I'm gonna, you know, not
Yeah.
get everybody. But there's quite a few. I'll put it out into the universe, and then let's see what happens.
Awesome. Okay, here's my final question for you. I'm gonna put you in a time machine, right? And I'm gonna dial it back to a time to a younger version of yourself, right? It's the younger Keanu Reeves. So I nearly call you Keanu Reeves now.
You did, you did.
So it's the younger version of you, right? And it's maybe a time where you felt that you needed some guidance or some advice, you know, someone to just take you under their wing, you know. And it's the version of you today, having walked the journey that you've walked, learned the lessons and everything, right? And I'm giving you 5 minutes to give some guidance to the younger version of yourself. What would that be?
Ask questions. Definitely. I think that's one of the biggest, yet one of the most simplest things that you can do is just ask a lot of questions. I've missed a lot of opportunities, I think, because of not asking questions. Even the Bible says, you know, you have not because you ask not. So if you want to understand something, then go to somebody that has done it and ask them, how did you do it? What did you do? What didn't you do? How do I do it? What do you think I should do? Where do I go? What don't I do? And even if it sounds random or it sounds like rhetorical, you know, at least you'll have the clarity about what it is that you want to do or don't want to do or need to decide between. So go to go to somebody or approach somebody that you know have done something that you aspire to do, and that in itself should be a form of, if they can do it then I can do it, but I don't know how to get there. So ask. Literally all you need to do is ask questions. And again, it's very important, but yet it's so simple. And it could change so much if
Mm.
you know, just get that courage. You know, it is daunting sometimes and it is a bit difficult to be able to like build up that courage and be like, you know, but again, I think personally for me it all comes back to I believe in me. You know, it's weird that I do that, but it's just something that I've been doing a lot recently, where everything that I think about and I want to do kind of ties back into that. So what I would say to younger Keanu is just ask questions, bro. Ask questions.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, the messages are always different, and I ask my every guest I ask this question, and it's always interesting to hear the different messages because yes, we all had our challenges, you know, in the beginning, and it's
Yeah,
it's it's just wonderful to just imagine yourself going back, almost like healing the younger version of you, you know, and just giving that guidance. So I love that.
yeah,
Thank you so much for being a guest on the Price of Fame. I truly enjoyed having you here, and I'm sure everyone who's tuned in tonight enjoyed you as well. Before I let you go, is there anything that you feel like you would love to share that I probably didn't give you the opportunity to cover during the interview?
there's, I mean, nothing specific. I just think the general, you know, idea around what you're doing as well is just creating opportunity for, you know, artists to share their stories. But I think
Yeah,
I'd replace that word of like the word artist just with, like, people, you know, because again we all just people, you know, besides the lifestyle and all of those things. Again, challenges, there's difficulties. As our faces differ, so our challenges differ. So, you know, just being able to learn from each other and learn from what we're doing. So um thank you, man, for also creating opportunities, and you know, for all these people that come on here just to share their stories and their journeys, which a lot of people don't usually know about until they get to a space like this where they can do that. So yeah, I there's nothing that I missed out. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a vibe. We should do this more, actually.
Yeah.
Off camera, just chill.
Yes. I mean, you're a cool guy, you know. For those of you who haven't met Keanu, and just to get a vibe of him today, honestly, before all that, everything and all the amazing stuff that he's done, I literally just met this guy backstage, and we hit it off immediately before I even saw him go on stage. You know, he just has that amazing presence, amazing spirit, and I believe he still had the gap at the time, you know. So, because he's always smiling, he was always smiling, so you would never miss that gap. But yo, ladies,
Thanks.
follow Keanu. As you can see, he's a genuine guy. He's a good guy, and he's very talented. For those of the people who don't know you just yet, your social handles, please drop all your social handles right now.
Keanu Harker, Facebook Keanu Harker, Instagram at Keanu Harker, YouTube Keanu Harker. If you go into Google and you search Keanu, either Keanu Reeves or Keanu Harker will pop up, one of the two. I'm trying to get just above that one, you know. But literally, it's Keanu Harker all over. My WhatsApp number is 08. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to go there. But literally just Keanu Harker everywhere.
You'll be having group. You'll be invited into groups tonight already. Tonight stuff.
Like broadcast messages the whole time.
Is it everyone's asking you questions? The group's name is Keanu. As hilarious.
Yo.
So, is there anything coming up soon, like any performances or anything like that you'd like us to come in, maybe come and support you, or anything coming up anytime soon, or anything that you're working on?
Working on some new music, working towards a new album towards the end of the year. That's gonna happen soon. This Friday, I'm out at Victory Outreach Church in Goodwood. You know, we're having a youth bash. It's gonna be a vibe. Saturday, there is a event happening in Worcester. End of the month, I'm in Joburg actually, so there's quite a few stuff happening there. I'll post all those details soon. But again, you can find it on social media platforms. But for now, it's literally just like streaming the music on, you know, all digital platforms and just kind of getting it out there, you know. Festivals are opening up, so if you can get into those stages and have people sing along to the music, I think that's what, as artists, we just, that's what we want, you know. So if you can stream it, great stuff.
No, that is awesome, but I need to tell you, need to be specific. Don't speak for all artists here, because as comedians, we don't want people to tell our jokes with us. Imagine they say a joke with you, and then
bring your own jokes later.
Then you know you're doing bad. If the crowd is telling your jokes with you, it's like, guy, you need to get out of here. Keanu, you want to say something?
No, I was gonna say let's take comedians out there. They're just like musicians and singers.
All right. Otherwise, brother, thank you so much for tonight, man. Truly appreciate it. And yeah, like you said, let's connect. You know, let's get together sometime. And I don't know, we might even come up with something amazing that we can produce to the people. But other than that, may you have a lovely evening further, brother. Thank you so much for tonight, and good night to you.
Good night, fam. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys soon.
Cheers.
Okay.
All righty. Take him away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's episode of The Price of Fame. If you enjoyed it as much as I did and you're not following Keanu, please do so. If you're not following me, why? Like, I mean, really? I mean, on Facebook, you can easily catch me. It's Lunga Chuka the Energizer Funny. It's funny. It's Lunga Chuka the Energizer Funny. On Instagram, it's at Lunga Chuka. I'm not even trying to be funny. It's just at Lunga Chuka. And if you want snippets, you know, exclusive snippets of the Price of Fame episodes, you can just go to the Price of Fame ZA. That is the Price of Fame ZA. You'll find snippets of season 1 and season 2. And if you want to get the full extended episodes, you can catch the link in the bio that will take you straight to my YouTube page. Before you watch anything, like and subscribe, and then you can watch the extended episodes of season 1 all the way to this episode now in season 2. Ladies and gents, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode as much as I did. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you more entertainment and more true stories from the people that we love on the big screen. Next week, same time, same place, same face. My name is Lunga Chuka. I've been your host. This is The Price of Fame.